Knicks with a big win. They saved their season. They stave off elimination 111-94 over the Pacers. They keep the Pacers under 100 points in this one. Jalen Brunson, he was on a heater to start this game. He led the way with 32 points, also had 5 dimes, 5 rebounds for the captain as well. Karl-Anthony Towns, 10 of 20 from the field, 24 points, 13 boards, 3 assists. Mikal Bridges, much solid second half, hit a bunch of middies, 12 points, 5 assists for him as well. You like that when Bridges is getting some assists involved in the playmaking. OG Anunoby, 11 points. Not a great shooting night, 3 of 14. Did have 1 corner 3 that he hit in this one, but he did have 3 steals. 3 steals for OG Anunoby. Josh Hart with 12 off the bench, a double-double, 12 and 10. Also 4 dimes in this one. He was a -1. And the Knicks, they got some contributions off the bench. Precious Achiuwa, Miles McBride with 5, Landry Shamet with 5, Aria Hukpurdy with a late basket with 2, DeLon Wright, some fantastic defense and playmaking at 3 assists and a steal. So the Knicks getting it done. 49% shooting from the field. They only shot 27% from downtown. But we're 15 of 22 at the line. The Pacers, 33% from downtown, 10 of 30 shooting, 40% from the field. And the Pacers just gave up way too many turnovers, as I said, with 19. They had 40 rebounds, did the Pacers. The Knicks with 45, so they win the rebounding battle. Offensive glass was 11-8 in favor of the Knickerbockers. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I know that everybody is excited about this. They did not want to see the Knicks fall in this one. They get the win. Jay Ellis with us gets the win. We will have our guy Brian Lewis will be joining us shortly to talk about this game and break it down from his perspective and see what he thinks about this win. But right now, you got to feel good if you're a Knicks fan. Now, are you confident they can put together 2 games in a row? That is the thing.
You don't sound like it the way you asked that question.
Well, man, I understand. No, I'm saying I can understand why somebody is not confident.
Yeah.
Because they haven't seen it, and you also haven't seen the Pacers lose 2 games in a row here in the playoffs.
Or come out like that 2 games in a row, too. That's the other thing.
That is another thing.
Yeah.
But there's a chance. There's an opportunity to do it. There's an opportunity to
give yourself a shot.
You gave yourself a shot.
And you're better on the road.
Yeah, and you're better on the road, and you want to see if you could do it. The Knicks are 6-2 on the road this playoffs.
Yep,
6-2 on the road this playoffs. So, they already won once.
Because they lost twice to Indy. They lost to Boston also.
No, on the road.
On the road.
They only lost once to Indy.
They
played 2 games.
I'm thinking of home.
And once to Boston. And they never lost. They never lost to Detroit on the road.
Exactly.
No, they kept losing out.
They're 6-2.
Exactly.
Yeah.
6-2.
So 6-2 on the road here in the playoffs.
What's Indy at home in the playoffs?
They're 2. I want to say they're
Milwaukee.
7.
They won all 3.
Cleveland they lost 1.
They split, so that's 4-1.
Yeah, yesterday they're 7-2, I believe.
And then in this series,
they won 1, lost 1.
That's it. So 5-2.
5-2
at home.
5-2 at home. So we'll see. I think this was a good game for the Knicks. I think they fought well. It was the last time the fans see them this season. You got to be happy with how they fought. But
you said if?
If.
Okay. I'm making sure the if was there. You didn't enunciate it that loudly.
If it's the last time the fans
before they get on
them,
your ass. I just want to I'm covering for you, bro.
Hey, I'm just saying, if it's the last time to see him this season, the fans should do this. I mean, look, we got people in the track. We back y'all, Nick Federico. Listen, we haven't seen the Knicks fans this happy in the chat in a while. Now we're back.
Since last series.
Vibes are good.
Since last series.
Dante Drake's Saturday night main event in Indianapolis.
That's a wrestling reference. I appreciate it, Dante. Thank you.
Knicks haven't lost back-to-back road games this playoffs. Knicks are due to get one in Indy. I do think that's true.
Indy hasn't lost. Indy hasn't lost back-to-back home games in playoffs.
I like that stat.
Indy hasn't lost back-to-back home games as well.
Right.
You don't like that stat.
Right. I don't like that stat.
Listen,
you don't like that stat.
Something is gonna happen. Something that hasn't happened is gonna happen.
It's happened tonight. Didn't you say before the game started
that they went on their third quarter runs, and they almost did, and the Knicks
have you put this in
stopped
your
that
ear so you can hear our guest who will be joining us shortly.
Yeah, let's put it behind.
Okay.
But yeah, like today, for example, the talk was like, oh, Indy hasn't lost Game 5 yet. They always go on their second half runs, which I was pointing out because it was like this is what the Knicks are up against, and they have to navigate, and they did a great job of that because this is the best game that they played this series, top to bottom. So we'll see what happens. There's a game
no doubt there. All right, but joining us now is the great sports reporter for the New York Post, my guy Brian Lewis. He probably had an enjoyable watch of seeing the Knicks. Brian, what's going on, man?
What's up, man? How you guys doing?
I'm good. I'm good. We can hear you. We do not hear Brian in the earpiece, but I do hear him through the.
I hear him.
TV.
I hear him in the earpiece.
Okay.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No, you know what it is? No, I can hear you. It was me. I didn't have my earpiece. It was me. It was user.
Right, I thought I was having technical difficulty.
No, it was me. I had the difficulty. It was user error.
Accountability, bro.
There we go.
I'm all about I'm all about accountability. Brian, at the end of the game, I know it wasn't that long, but I was really hoping. I was like, Tibbs needs to get the starters off the court in the last 2 minutes because I saw this going
Can't help himself.
disastrously wrong, but it did not. Let's start with this. Knicks came out with energy for the start. I think you would agree that this was their best 48-minute performance of this series. But some fans are going to be frustrated and say, where was this before? Why didn't we see this before? If we saw this once, we might be up 3-2 in
You
the
know
series.
what? You're probably right.
Of course. Yes. You know this.
I have no doubt that you are correct.
What did you like about what you saw from them? Was it the energy from the start and how it was sustained throughout? What did you like about what you saw from them tonight?
There's so many things that I liked about this game. Well, listen, what did we discuss after the last game going into this game? Said, all right, you got to win the turnover battle, right? You've got to protect the ball. Now, I'm not going to say they were ridiculously crisp and clean, but they did win that battle, which was mandatory. We said they got to put better ball pressure on Halliburton, right? I was crying and complaining about McHale and the way it looked like he was a cornerback playing prevent defense. They were much, much better in pressuring Halliburton. Now you're going to ask me about adjustments. I know, so I'll get it out of the way. And what were we talking about with Brunson? I was saying, listen, they've got to find a way to be able to screen Naismith off him. They cannot let Naismith just harass him the way he is. All right, fine. They couldn't figure a way to do that. So he had him off the ball when Naismith was on him early, and that let him get going. There were so many things that I liked about this. I liked them staggering the minutes. Now, granted, part of staggering these minutes, part of it was Cat and his fouls, which don't even get me on that.
Get 5 again.
Right? But they were minus 24 together coming into this.
Yep.
But look at that. Brunson was sitting basically half of the second quarter. More than half of the second quarter. I think it was 6:18. And they go on in 18 and they're +7 then. Right? There are so many things that I liked about this game that would give me a little bit of hope going forward. And yes, this is by far their best performance for 48 minutes.
Easily. See, you went to where I was going next, Brian. It's about hope. It's hope, right?
Well, hope is a dangerous thing.
Hope is a dangerous thing. I absolutely agree with that. But I'm not here to hate on the people's hope. I'm not here to quell, the fire, to take away their dreams and all that. But I will ask you this, based on what you've seen tonight, and you have to take the information of what you've seen before in the series, are you encouraged? I won't use the word hopeful. Are you encouraged that the Knicks can play like this again from start to finish and bring this thing back home to MSG for a Game 7?
I am. Listen, the Knicks, this series has been closer than a 3-1 scoreline would have indicated because they just gave one game away.
Yeah.
Right. So, it should have been 2-2, but whatever, a great philosopher from New Jersey once said, you are what your record says you are. So that's fine. They were down 3-1.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I would be very encouraged by this. I'm encouraged by the fact that they've, been a good road team in the playoffs. So, I certainly think Indiana will be more dialed in. Indiana did not show what I would consider a sense of desperation tonight, and the Knicks certainly did. I would expect that to be a little different at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. But I certainly wouldn't rule it out, and I'm certainly encouraged at the Knicks' chances when I saw the way this game went, as opposed to whatever, if they played a sloppy game and somehow lucked their way into a 1-point victory. What I saw out there tonight, that was encouraging.
I agree. I would strongly agree. I think the start from Brunson was good. Cat, despite the foul trouble, was good. Josh Hart was better than he was. He didn't turn over the ball as much as he did the other day. The one thing, if I had to nitpick a little bit, Brian, I would say too much of it was on Brunson and Towns. You want your All-NBA players to step up, but you'd like to see somebody else get it going. Mikal Bridges did get some of that going in the second half. He had some big shots for them. OG did not have his best shooting game. In order for the Knicks to win this Game 6, which I think is going to be a tougher test, does somebody else need to step up for them here offensively in Game 6?
Well, I would say the easy, cheap answer is saying yes. What I would also contend is that historically, your stars have to play well to win on the road. Now, I'm not necessarily specifically limiting that to this year's Knick team. I'm saying, and you might say playoff history means nothing. Every game is different. But in my very limited experience, the stars are the ones that are going to have to carry you on the road because generally speaking, the non-stars or the role players have a tougher time maintaining their level on the road. Now, listen, I mean, Mikal has got a ton of playoff experience, right? So, I don't want to cast him as if he's some non-starter or when I say role player, I don't mean that in any way disparagingly. So, I mean, there are a lot of guys on this roster that have experience that you should be able to count on. But if Brunson and Cat can play like that, that'll go a long way to carrying you.
It will. It will indeed.
Brian, I want to ask about, like, on the Pacers side, Indiana starters combined for 37 points. I don't think that's going to happen again. No. I don't think it's going to happen again on their home floor. No. How do the Knicks sort of combat this in this situation now where they had their desperation game? Indy didn't get into their offense like they typically do. Not that they came out like, oh, we'll give you this one. They didn't roll over, but the Knicks really stepped up and played a desperate game defensively, and that sort of carried out the effort throughout the entire game. So when Indy inevitably makes their adjustments, because we've talked about the Knicks not losing back-to-back games on the road in the playoffs, Indy hasn't lost back-to-back games in the playoffs. How do the Knicks sort of combat that in Game 6?
Well, I mean, if they can keep the game at this kind of pace, that'll go a long way into it. I mean, Halliburton, listen, I'm not going to get into some silly argument about whether he's a superstar or not, because I don't care. Superstar, megastar, quasi-star, I don't give a damn. Whatever. He's a great player. All right? But he is a player that needs to play to his strengths. He needs to run.
Yep.
And he's not a great half-court player, especially if you're up in his grill. I mean, if you're allowing him space to get going, which unfortunately for them, the Knicks did all too often in the earlier parts of this series, he's going to kill you. All right? But what they need to do is, again, get the game at this kind of pace, keep Indy from running, and put ball pressure on Halliburton from the beginning to the end. Now, that's on offense. And that's on defense. And that's what they need to do with him. Now, there are other keys.
Yeah.
Right? But he is the engine for them. Right? He is what's going to drive them. But I agree with you. Clearly, I don't think anybody expects their entire starting five to play as poorly as they did tonight.
And the other thing is, they also didn't play that much, which I wonder if that'll have a factor, because Pascal Siakam had 34, not to get all minutes policey, because we've been talking.
Well, I mean, Naismith had
bit,
50,
but,
yes.
Yeah, like Naismith barely played. Siakam and Halliburton have 30 plus each, 32 and 34. Nobody else really sniffs that except Nembhard, who has 27. And the Knicks obviously kept their guys in longer. They were controlling the game. Mitchell Robinson only had 20, but the rest of the starters had 34 plus. Do you think that's going to be a factor at all? I know, like, we don't want to harp on the minutes too much, but I think that's something people may be concerned about.
I mean, I don't think it's unfair. I don't call it harping on it. You're just acknowledging the realities of it, right? I mean, when their starters are playing 200 fewer minutes,
Yeah,
that's not making up a false narrative. That's the reality.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
We sat there and discussed it, how basically Indy was going to play games 1 and games 2 thinking, all right, this is going to come back and help me in game 6 and 7, the way I'm going to play. Well, here we are. Now we've got game 6, and the Knicks are praying that they get to a game 7. So yes, I do think those minutes are going to be meaningful. I do think overall cumulative fatigue matters. That's part of their game plan. Will it come to fruition? Will it work? I don't know. But I promise you that's 100% part of their game plan.
Yeah, that is what they built. J. Ellis, you got anything for Bryan?
Not necessarily right now. I'm sorry. I was
involved.
I was just listening to him intently. And
Bryan, let me throw this at you. Pacers open up -4. I'm not asking you to make a bet, but
yes, it is.
Does that surprise you at all that Vegas is basically like, the Knicks got theirs, now Indy will get theirs back?
No, I mean that doesn't shock me. I think everybody. Well, let me rephrase that. I think many people expected that the Knicks would come out desperate, because this is a team that has shown, a lot of starch throughout the course of this playoffs. So people figured that this team was going to bow up and come out desperate.
Right.
Maybe the Pacers would have given, a little better quitting of themselves. But either way, I think people expected the Knicks to get this. And I think people would expect that after the Pacers got smacked in the face, that they'll come out with the kind of appropriate desperation that they would need in game 6. Also, and going back to what we're talking about, it's not like the Pacers played crazy minutes, right? When you look at those minutes, that should be beneficial for them in game 6. So no, I'm not overly surprised by that. No.
The thing, I'm listening to you say that, Bryan, and the thing is, you said, most people, or a good amount of people, expected the Knicks to come out desperate in game 5. The thing I always think about this with a game 6, which is so, I think, nerve-wracking for fans, is that desperation doesn't go away. You're still facing elimination. It still can be 1-2-3 Cancun really quick if you don't come out with the right energy. So for the Pacers, they got to think about the desperation the Knicks could come out with again.
Sure.
Albeit they will not be at home, and it is a tougher task on the road. Who has more pressure in your eyes in this game 6? Is it the Knicks or is it the Pacers?
Well, I mean, the Knicks still have to have more pressure, only because this is an elimination game.
I agree.
Right?
I agree with that.
Now, that being said, I would imagine the Pacers have no desire to see the inside of Madison Square Garden until next season. Right? But I still have to say that the pressure still has to be on the. Now, I get it. There are some people that may view it through a different lens. They're writing whatever story they're writing. They may say differently. They may say, oh, well, the pressure has now shifted to Indiana. I don't look at it that way. I say when you're a couple bad calls away from going home, the pressure is on you. You can be eliminated. The pressure is still on the Knicks. Now, if they get this game and it comes back to game 7, that's an entirely different story. But as of today, right now, you're asking me, I still say the pressure is on the Knicks.
I agree. I agree with that. I think, and I think
Indy has 2 shots ultimately, and
right.
the Knicks just have 1.
And like Bryan said earlier, if it gets back to a game 7, then the pressure's on both teams in that situation. Yeah. And there's still some argument to be made because the Knicks were favored in the series, because the Knicks would be back home, because the Garden crowd would expect to cheer them on to a win. Sometimes playing those game 7s at home can be tough too. Mm-hmm. But let me ask you this: we've seen Tibbs expand the rotation a little bit. We've seen Shamet, we've seen DeLon Wright play. Some of us have been asking for a little bit more of this.
I'm not giving him credit for Precious. That was Cat that made him play Precious.
That's fair. That's
both times, by the way.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. But
I get it. Facts are facts. I understand.
Facts are facts that he played 10. Yeah. But I hear you. What I will give credit to Precious. Precious gave good minutes in the 4 minutes that he played.
He did absolutely. Good minutes. Once Cat picked up the ignorant foul, and then they went hack a Mitch, and he had no choice but to go to Precious. Well, Precious did what? Precious? I mean, the minutes were fine.
He had a choice. He could have been stubborn, but I hear you.
I guess he could just keep saying, go up there and keep missing free throws. I guess
you could.
That's not much of a choice.
Yeah. Okay. But let me ask you this.
But you're right. It is. He has a choice of bad options. You are correct.
The option is there. That's all I'm saying.
The option is there.
My question here is: pressure is not just on players. I think you know this from covering sport. It can also affect the coaches too.
Of course.
Not saying that there wasn't pressure on Tibbs tonight, because there absolutely was.
No, but coaches feel pressure. We watched J.J. Redick in the playoffs, so clearly coaches can feel pressure.
This is true. Do you believe that he will stick to this rotation, considering the results we've seen in 2 of the past 3 games, and not just the starting lineup, but for me, it's more about going to that defensive unit when necessary to help spark the team, which we've seen this now happen. Both second quarters have been positive for the Knicks with that lineup, and then that team was able to steal some minutes at the beginning of the 4th. Do you think Tibbs will stick to that here and not succumb to the pressure and say, "Oh, I've got to ride with my starting unit," even though the numbers show that he probably shouldn't ride?
No, I think he might. Now again, I think I would defer. Steph Bondy would know that better than me.
Yeah,
but my suspicion is, having seen how effective it has been when he's needed it, and B, seeing how productive Cat and Jalen have been offensively, despite on occasion splitting their minutes and being able to give those defensive guys playing time. Tibbs might look at this and say, well, damn, I can have my cake and eat it too. I'm still getting the production that I want offensively from those guys. And I'm still getting impactful, meaningful, helpful minutes, right, from that defensive bunch. And I won? Yeah. My suspicion would be yes, that he would, but, that's just my guess, and that's just my gut.
Just your guessing gut. I guess last thing for me before we wrap, we couldn't get you to say Knicks in 4. Tried for the last couple series. We tried to get you to say Knicks in 4. However, I'm sure you know.
Yeah, all right. I will give you Knicks underdog by 4.
Yeah, we know what the line is. We are well aware of what the line is. Brian's been on it.
If it moves, I'll let you know.
What I'm trying to find out, Mr. Lewis, is it possible for us to get you to say what the crowd was chanting today, which is Knicks in 7? That's what I'm trying to see. Is it possible to get you there? I'm not a troll. It's not trolling. It's not trolling. It's a fair question.
Knicks in 7, according to the Garden crowd.
Wow.
That's
Brian
the worst.
attributing the sources, refusing to say this on his own,
Right.
saying the source that said it, which was the Garden crowd. Look, we tried to get Brian to say Knicks in 4. He would not say that. We tried to get him to say Knicks
Fix
in
that in
7.
editing.
He would not say that. I'm not going to do that. That would be journalistically bad of me. Brian said he attributed it to the source. I have nothing to contend with that. I have nothing to say. Brian, we will see you for at least another game. So we will see you Saturday to talk about this. Yeah, I'm glad you got to see a win. I'm glad it didn't end today. We'll be back to talk about more. But thank you, sir. We will see you Saturday.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys.
No problem.
Thanks,
Great
Brian.
Brian Lewis of the New York Post, great sports reporter for us, doing a great job breaking down the games with us after each and every one of these live streams. All right, guys. Showdown on Saturday in Naptown.
Mm-hmm.
How you feeling?
There was one other series so far in the playoffs where a team down 3-1 forced a game 7, and that was in Houston, Golden State. Houston got the home game 7 and lost against Golden State.
I don't like the way you ended that.
So
That's Houston.
I was just looking to see if it happened in the playoffs, and I was reminded of that because I remember a lot of people.
So many games. Oh, no, so sorry.
Houston beat the shit out of them in game 5, from what I remember. And then people expected Golden State in game 6 to bounce back. They did not. And then it was like, oh, what's going to happen there? No, they actually beat them up. No,
Game
I was
5
right.
was
game 5. They beat them up in game 5. I was right.
Yeah.
And then game 6, they ended up beating them, which was a tighter game. They won by 8. So that's where we're at right now. The last team to pull off this comeback successfully, down 3-1
in the bubble, it's Denver Nuggets.
Denver did it twice in that run.
Yeah,
they did it in the first round against Utah, and the second round against the Clippers, and they lost 4-1 to the Lakers in the.
Who's the last team to do it
outside the bubble?
Outside the bubble. I'm trying to think about this. You should know this.
Everyone knows this one.
Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. 2016.
It's
been a minute.
2016.
Yep.
He's
It's
finals.
longer than I thought.
Yeah.
So,
So 9 years.
LeBron,
So you know what I hear in all that?
I know
It is due.
I know
it is
due.
due. It sounds like it's due, and maybe it's for the blue and orange.
By the way, it happened twice that same playoffs. The other time was Golden State, Oklahoma City, famously. And then Kevin Durant went and joined the team that they blew a 3-1 lead against.
Turncoat.
Then he wonders why a lot of people just kind of look at him a little sideways. But
That's never bothered me as much as it bothers some other people. But
I get
whatever.
I get it. People just don't credit him with championships.
I'm just saying it hasn't happened in a while.
Listen,
it feels like it's time for some history.
This series has been history-esque. The Pacers came back 14 down, under 3 minutes. That's the first time that's happened in like a 970-something games or whatever.
Yeah, it was like almost 1,000 games.
Yeah. So, I mean, it seems like the series, that history has to be made. And I feel like this could be one of those series where history's made again.
The way the series started, and if it finishes in some way with the Knicks coming back, boy, there's going to be a lot of people out there tempted to do this.
It sucks.
Tempted?
Tempted, yeah.
I mean, you better win.
I'm making shirts.
Those will be legendary shirts if that happens.
You know what's? The only thing I don't like is that if we get a game 7, it's on a Monday, which is kind of like.
Because here's the thing about the being on a Monday. If the Knicks do not win, it'll mess your week up for some of you out there. Some of you out there,
I wouldn't even go in there, but I guess I suppose that's true.
Miserable.
Oh my God.
All week.
You're going to be miserable all week. You might not even turn on the finals. That's how bad it will be.
Although I think the finals will be good regardless of who makes it there to face OKC, but that's neither here nor there.
I think I'm leading. I was trying to come up with a prediction before we got off.
You're going to pick Knicks in 7. What do you mean?
I'm not saying that.
Yes, you are. You're going to say the Knicks are going to win game 6 and they're going to go win game 6?
I'm not going to say
You're
that.
not going to say anything different.
Here's what
There's
I'm
no
say.
shot.
Here's
There's
what I'm
no
gonna
shot.
say.
There's no
JR, what do you saying for game 6?
Wow. For game 6?
He has a Knicks jersey on. You mean,
Listen,
like,
man.
It could be like, I don't think they're going to win.
Anything. I'm not going to say that.
right. Come on.
I don't think you're going to win. I'm not going to say that. I expect a way better showing from the Pacers at game 6 for sure. They're going to be at home. I don't expect the starters to only score 37 points. But, like, if the Knicks can duplicate what they did on defense today and limit their turnovers, I think we do have a shot to bring it back home.
That's the key.
I would say, what I'll say to that is, I'm not confident the Knicks will win, on Saturday.
I'm shocked.
I'm not.
Honestly, I'm shocked.
I'm not.
I'm
Because
shocked.
I've seen too much. I'm not. I've been taking this stuff one possession at a time. That's all I will do. I will say this. I do think that if the Knicks win on Saturday, I do think they win the series.
That they win Game 7.
I do. Then you'll see me confident about Game 7.
It would be very Knicks if they win Saturday and then lose Monday.
But I would say
I think the team. I think, by the way, this team is absolutely capable of winning both.
And I've seen that. I've seen that happen before.
Indy's really good.
It happened in '95.
Indy's really good.
When Ewing missed a finger roll, they won. They came back from down and they won 5 and 6, and they lost the Game 7 at home. So I've seen
at
it
the
before,
Garden.
At the Garden. What I will say to this though is,
damn, how many times Indy beat them Game 7 at the Garden?
Just once.
Well, last year too.
Oh yeah, two.
Well,
That's two.
yeah.
Sorry. I figured last year's just like
Maybe they're
I don't count, man.
They don't
What's
really count
ended,
to me.
man?
Maybe they're due.
But what? Yes, I always love maybe they do. I also like the fact that I think that this year the playoffs have been so bizarre
as hell.
that it would be like the 3-1 comeback to get to the finals, which I don't know the last time we've seen that.
I just told you. To get to the finals?
To get to the finals.
To the finals.
Yeah, it was Golden State, Oklahoma City.
On Oklahoma City.
In 2016.
In 2016.
Golden State was that's a weird fun fact. Leandro Barbosa became the first player to be part of multiple 3-1 comebacks. Also playing for the Suns in 06. It was a random fact that they had.
Okay, that's the last time.
Golden State did it to Oklahoma City.
To get to the finals. Right. Look.
And then lost in the finals and then signed Kevin Durant and won the next two.
Right.
Cheater.
Hey, you could lose and get Kevin Durant also. It's on the table.
We don't want
And then what if
no.
if you got 2 championships from it, you would take it, even though you don't want Kevin Durant.
You won't
Except
get
I
2
know because he's like 47,
He's 98 years old.
68. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But there's gonna be Knicks fans out there.
Even when Kevin Durant's 60 years old, he'll probably be averaging 27.
We don't have to talk about the offseason yet. I'm just here to say, am I confident in Game 6? No. Not confident.
I'm legitimately surprised. Even off that effort, okay? So let me press you.
Are you more confident?
I'm confident. I'm confident that they will play with the right intensity.
Do you not think they'll be able to duplicate this performance? And if not, is that because you're expecting Indy to have a bounce back performance for both of you?
I expect Indy to come out stronger. So when I say duplicate, I don't think they'll be as strong at the start. They're going to have to weather a storm on Saturday.
The one that didn't come today.
Yes. Yeah. But here's the thing. They do have the capability to weather the one storm and then bring a storm of their own.
Yeah, they've done it.
If they do that,
they've done it.
If they do that on Saturday, they can win the game. But I think they got to stick to some of the stuff they've been doing. They got to stagger the minutes. They got to keep the turnovers down. They still could have cleaned up turnovers more for my liking in this game, despite the fact they played good 15. If they can keep turnovers somewhere between 10 and 12, to me, they have an excellent shot to win this game. If they do what they do on the boards, if they play in control, they do not play the other team's pace, they can do it. They cleaned up some things today.
Yeah.
I think they can clean up even more in the next game. Now, I would like to see the Knicks win. I might advise some of y'all out there to hit that Knicks money line. I might say that. But we'll see.
You get a good number.
If they win, though, I just think with this franchise and this team and Jalen Brunson having a chance to go to the promised land, I don't think they're messing that up if they get there on Monday. But they got to get there for Monday.
You got to get there.
You said if the Knicks win Game 6, they win Game 7. The Knicks are plus 280 to win the series, is what I'll say. Jay, what do you think about just what I asked you guys in terms of can they duplicate this performance?
He's gonna say Knicks and 7.
Does it come down to like the same defensive intensity? Do you expect more out of Indy in the next game? Like, what's just your overall outlook for Game 6?
I think we can duplicate the defensive intensity that we saw today. I do feel like Indiana missed a couple of open threes, and I also kind of feel like they weren't as intense as they usually are in games. They kind of I feel like some at some points of the game they kind of played like they knew they had another game coming.
Like as the Knicks took them out early.
Yeah. So I feel like there's gonna be more urgency when we play in Indiana. So although I do feel like we can duplicate some of the stuff that we did today, I feel like there's gonna be a little bit more pushback, and we're gonna have to weather that storm when the pushback comes. So I still feel like we have a chance to win, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But there's gonna be more pushback for sure.
I'd be surprised if Saturday is not a close game.
I would
That's
be
where
shocked
I'm
at it too.
I'd be
But
surprised Saturday's not close. I'd be alarmed if it's an ass whooping, like in either direction.
Yeah.
Actually.
I could see it being close, and I feel like if it's a game the Knicks win, it's going to be a close game, but they're going to show that clutch resolve and pull it out late. And a lot of it might be because of Brunson. I will say this. I don't know where I'm at the game. Maybe ask me tomorrow. I feel they will play well. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that. You thought I was going to say Knicks in 7 and say all that.
It's just a 280. I could shop around, find you a better number.
I just want to see a good. I want
I
to see
sound
a good
like a
first
dealer,
4
let me not.
minutes. You do sound like a dealer.
Yeah,
You out here selling hope.
Mhm.
I just want to see a good first 4 minutes in the first quarter and then build upon that. That's what I'll say. Hopefully, everybody out there, you feel good about this win. This man was 1-0 in the seat. We'll see how it goes on Saturday.
We're 10-7 in these seats.
10-7 in these seats.
We're
Maybe,
above 500.
We're above 500. Maybe you should trust us.
Whatever
You
the
know,
Knicks
I'm
record.
perfect.
You're perfect. See, and you get to lead perfect.
Yeah.
You get to lead
Small
perfect.
sample size,
Exactly.
because we can just get out of here and be like,
Yeah.
yo, 100% winning percentage.
Yo, you
We're,
guys-
we're kind of at the mercy of Tom Thibodeau and Jalen Brunson.
Yeah. You can get out. You can get out and be good.
Exactly.
You can get out and be good. But we will be back on Saturday night, 8 p.m. in Naptown. We'll be here. The game's in Naptown.
Yep.
Knicks versus Pacers, Game 6. Knicks still trying to stay alive. Joining us in studio will be Kazim Famuyide, host, you know him, with 7 p.m. in Brooklyn with Mello. He's going to sit here and rock it with us. I've watched him on Twitter. He's been going through the roller coaster ride.
Yet another
Cass-
wrestling fan that you bring
Oh,
up here.
I am bringing a big wrestling fan up here.
Can't,
Oh, God.
as a wrestling guy, I'll make sure that we bother you a little
Oh,
bit.
God.
Shout out to Kazim too. He's been doing this thing.
Yeah, shout out to Kaz,
on
man.
his little his spots and 7 p.m. in Brooklyn.
Yeah, he's doing the thing. So Kaz has agreed to come and rock with us on Saturday. That should be a fun one. There should be a lot of wrestling references in there. I just if you see me rolling my eyes, you'll see me roll my eyes before they finish.
You'll take it if the Knicks win, though.
I guess, or maybe I want to body slam one of them, something like that. If there's a wrestling reference,
Yeah, you go. People's elbow one of them.
There you go. There you go. All right, but we're gonna get out of here. It is late. I gotta be back in the studio tomorrow. That is Bryan Fonseca. Go check out J. Ellis, Nick of Time Show crew. They got their post game going on now too. Check it out with Lee Escobedo, Ebony, guys all there doing a great job. Please subscribe to their channel, subscribe to this one too. Check them out. This is not J. Ellis's last time on the show. He will be back. We plan to do more of these.
Yeah.
So we gotta get you back. If you want to put your 1-0 record on the line, at some point we might have to bring back all the 1-0 people and have them put the record on the line.
Can't break me.
I mean, you should have the confidence to go 2-0. That's what I'm saying. You should have the confidence to go 2-0. But we'll see.
Maybe I'll do that versus OKC.
We will see. Thank you, everybody. Hey, maybe we just got to bring back all the 1-0 people if they get to the finals. We'll see.
That would be funny.
That would be funny.
That.
That would be hilarious.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
OKC's a very different animal, but we might get to that Monday if there's a Monday.
We'll get to that. We're just trying to get there one game at a time. Thank you to all the people in the chat. Hit the like, subscribe button, all the good stuff. We are signing off. We will see you on Saturday night for Game 6. Until then, be well. Say the words with me. Knicks in 7. Knicks in 7. Peace, y'all.